Claudio!
Hey, how you doing?
Good, what
Just
about
a
you?
moment.
Really excited about today, to be honest.
Hey, how
Did
you
you
doing?
Pardon? Hey, there we go.
How are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you. And you?
Very good. Very good. What happened to
Awesome.
the curls?
I straightened them out today. Well, actually 2 days ago, and then I leave it for a couple days just to try to make the most of having harmed my hair to get here in the first place. How have you been?
Very good. Very good.
So this is Elle, who was driving last time and wasn't able to speak, and I haven't heard her say anything this morning.
Hi, Al.
She was on her way back from an equinox ceremony information session the night that we did our presentation last, when she wasn't able to speak then because of receptivity. And so that synchronicity, she messaged me afterwards and it was just like, my mind was just completely blown. Like, oh my God. So
Cool. Hi, Al. If you're speaking, we can't hear you.
I think she is being an observer today. And I don't know where Jay is. I did message him, but I did also kind of present this as outside of Hiero's Prism and the court characters template. So, what does that mean to you?
That the one we already talked about?
Well, that descriptor in relation to what we're going to talk about today with the court card characters as archetypes, and
Uh,
then how that relates to astrology.
okay. Yeah. The court type character. Yeah, that's the anything to do with law is Jupiter and Sagittarius.
What does that mean? I don't know. So imagine I
Yeah.
don't know anything about the stars
Right.
because you'll
So
be surprised how little I do know.
right. So Jupiter is the largest planet, right? It has the most volume as far as when you look at it, according to consensus. And Jupiter is expansion of spiritual law. So when Jupiter is at play in your chart, you will find yourself in law situations, right? And Sagittarius, the archer that's on a police, like in Canada, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the upholders of law. Well, Sagittarius also has that glyph, but so does Chiron, the wounded healer. Chiron is also the archer on a horse, or half horse,
Oh,
half
right.
man. So as far as that goes, that's where that essence lies.
Was he a centaur?
Yes, that's the word. Thank you. So the glyph of Sagittarius is a centaur, and so is Chiron, the wounded healer.
Sagittarius and Chiron are both centaurs.
Right. So one's what they call like an asteroid that goes around quickly. Jupiter is a slower one, so it's almost like Chiron is the mini me of Jupiter, and they both have a home in Sagittarius.
Bless
Bless
me.
you.
Wow.
Oh, you're being
Okay.
cleansed. Perfect.
Yeah. My goodness. Wow. That's amazing. Of course. So, in relation to the court card characters, that actually strikes me as relevant to Deanne DeRohan's The Right Use of Will series. Have you ever encountered that?
No.
It's brilliant, and my quote unquote lawman kind of has used that as his Bible for the last 30 years, where it's speaking about the marriage of spirit, father energy, and then will, which is mother energy, meeting in the heart, and then creating the body of manifestation or the
Beautiful.
body of man.
Beautiful.
So those four elements are what the right use of will talk about in terms of characters. And so then even actually dividing those characters into their own individuated characters within the storyline, while also maintaining the four characters within the dynamic that is being spoke of in relation to spirit, matter, heart, and manifestation.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
So those are the four pillars of expression, but the 2D counterfeit version of reality, which is the legal fiction, only takes into account three elements of the four, implying itself to actually be the body of manifestation as legislation that must be referenced within the court of that domain.
Right. Right. It's interesting the way everything is happening in the stars, is happening in the courts, is happening on the land, is happening in each one of us individually. So it's really cool. Yeah, the the trinity of the trustee, beneficiary, and executor are those three are exactly related to the all, the image of the all, and the incorporation of that image.
And the what creation of that image? The recreation.
And the um, incorporation, right? We've incorporated into a body corporate,
Exactly.
right? So
You ready for some fun?
absolutely.
So I think that what we need to do is actually make this fun so people see where their timelines are actually connected. And I think it would be a really good opportunity as well, Claudio, for you to share what you do for people where the natal astrology is concerned and how that actually relates to the courts that are in your chart. Because is anyone's chart actually identical, Claudio?
Nope.
So tell
Every
people
every
more about
chart is
that.
like a snowflake because by the minute makes a difference.
Yes.
You say, how can two twins come out and be so different? Right.
XYZ.
Okay,
Are those the chromosomes?
that's what they say.
Are those not also the different generations? Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, gender. Did you know that Der has a little captain beside it because it's Der, Captain Obvious? Pretty crazy, eh?
Yeah.
So you've got gender, X, Y, or Z.
Okay.
Now, why do these letters of the alphabet matter?
Well, to me, it comes from the alpha beta, right? And if the circle of 60 and then the alpha beta wraps around that, I can show it later if you want how it wraps
Yeah.
around the circle.
Cool. So the alpha beta circle is what you're going
Right.
to get to, which I
Yes.
think might actually relate to hermeneutics. Hermeneutics Prism. Have you ever heard of it?
Nope.
It's about, I want to say, interpolation of existing structures, but it's kind of like Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat being actually about cinematography. And then Technicolor being why the green screen is used in Oz, that the yellow brick road leads to through the Federal Reserve System or the Federal Reserve Bank, where,
The de jure one, yeah, the de jure one, because there's two treasuries. We got to be careful, right? There's two. There's the de jure one, and then there is the sin one, the usury one.
right. So, what is usury?
Interest. Charging interest is stealing. When you profit is stealing. We are all in usury. We're all sinners. That's why we keep going to court, because we're engaging in the commercial system. And the commercial system is one of stealing from each other, taking from each other. So we're sinning. Then it is the de jure side, the real one, the loving one. That money never has anything to do with interest or stealing. It's about sharing labor hours.
Mm, I like that. Okay, so basically, if we think about this as the channel,
Yep.
then we start seeing that we're the channel at the bottom of the channel that we're implied to be in. So this is where you get into the water laws of merchant commercial domain. Domain being the tour, which is why the soldiers go out on tours, because they're saying, soldiers, now you're going out on tour because we soldiers. It's terrible.
Right.
I'm just being facetious, but it's just so ridiculous. They've named us by the very thing that they've done to us. Soldier life, you go out on tour, you go where I tell you to.
But here's the thing: we got to stop saying they, because
Yes.
that soldier is going to war based on trying to get revenge and deliver karma or receive karma without knowing they're causing that endless cycle.
Yeah.
So nobody's sending them; they choose to go.
We
There is
choose to
no
go.
there is no they.
Yeah. We choose to go.
Right. So we're being tempted to sin.
Yeah. With the syntax of soldiers.
Right.
So that is the tax.
Right.
Sin
Karma equals tax. They're both synonymous.
and tax equals karma. So when
Right.
you say we're in tax season, explain that because I like it.
A fall of Babylon, Sodom and Gomorrah. So now, when we're being induced by love, all our waters got to get vibrated out so we become pure again. If you resist, then you leave the visible.
Yeah. So in terms of the channel, people need to start seeing the banks for what they are. Back in the old days, when you didn't have a bank to go park your treasures at, you buried your treasures. And then you left markers for yourself on maps that other people would then be able to use to find your treasure for you. Or you could go and use it to find the treasure where X always marked the spot.
Right.
That's why we go to the bank and tell her where we're leaving the treasure. So the teller became the one we told where the treasure was and gave it to her to hold for us
Right.
for profits in a usury system that she is working for and then being named after. So her name being derived from the institution that she works for, those that being the bank. So then the teller gets her identity from being at the bank where she was told. So the teller got her name from being a teller or being the one that they told. And they were us, but just earlier versions of us because the recycling of souls into families is the way that karmically we work out all of these issues and unresolutions.
Right. If you put a little dot in the middle of that X, no, up top,
Yeah.
that's where the treasure is.
Yeah.
Why? Because that's the heart center where
Yeah.
love is, where there's no thing. So that's X marks the spot, but everybody's going to look for the material treasure.
Yeah.
But it's pure love that's a treasure because it's infinite. It's the ether. You never run out. We're infinitely from that. So that's where we got to go. Once you get to heart center, You never have to store anything in a bank because now what are you doing? You're trying to store love. Love is always there. It's infinite. What are we doing?
So XYZ then. X marks the spot.
Right. Then Y is the last one before Z before you get back to the alpha and you start the cycle all over again. And what's really important is when you look at the opposite letter, right? When you look at the opposite letter across the circle, just like Sagittarius is across from Leo, Sagittarius is the blood flow, and the heart is across from Sagittarius, which pumps the blood.
Heart opposite Sagittarius.
Right. So I was just saying that where the letters cross each other, like for example, the Z is across from the L, and the L is the one that gets cleaved away before it becomes the O again. Because the alpha is the Shen on the Egyptian walls, which is made up of the 0 and the 1.
It's cleaved away before it becomes the O.
Yes, because if you take a 0 and a 1, it's an A. If you take the 1 away, you leave the visible because the O is at the omega, is that sunset where you don't see the sun no more. The sun goes into the underworld. So the
Mm.
A loses the image of the 1 and goes back to the all. And then it jumps into Virgo, back into the womb. And it goes for a round.
So I think we should create the circle with all of the letters of the alphabet
Want
for
me to
which
share my
alpha got
screen?
put on. Yeah, please. Oh, let me make sure everyone can do that. Oh, good, perfect.
This is just a particular one where I showed the Z and the Z and the L is already there, but it's the 12th iteration. So everything lies on here. I'll just show you quickly. Like the circle of fifths is here. Because when you do the circle of 60, 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, the Fibonacci, right? 3 plus 5 is 8. 5 plus 8 is 13. You don't carry the tens column. There's only 9 numbers. 5 plus 8 is 13. You carry the 3. 3 plus 8 is 11. You carry the 1 because you only carry the ones column. And then you'll see that it makes fives in every fifths and 4 zeros. Okay, so
Wow.
which makes the swastika. That's the root of the swastika. Because when you do the circle of 50s, everybody should do this. Grab a circle, make 60. That's why there's 60 seconds on the clock, 60 minutes on the clock. Is
Six
that
six
this
six.
create, right? See the 1011 it creates? 7077. Jesus on the mount, the sun, the 7 colors of the rainbow at the top. 9099 at the omega, the 0 point Libra. 3033, and then the 369 is here, which aligns beautifully with the snake on the box. So you can see the 4 zeros, the cross that it makes, and then there's a 5 at every fifth. So this comes from the circle of fifths. I got this from John Coltrane, who's a sax player, who got it from David Cochrane, got it from him, an astrologer, which I got it from. So all music, this is not music theory anymore, it's music fact. And then it lines up with the alpha beta. It lines up with the zodiac because this is why there's only 12 zodiac signs and not 13. I can get into that another day. But so anyway,
Why?
here's the alpha beta that wraps around, right?
Wow.
This will spin. So you can go and look like the E is
Yeah.
across from the S. The E is the Fibonacci spiral. So this is point source where it goes in upon itself, the E, that's a magnet. Right across from that is the S, which is light, light in a sine wave. They're all there. The two that cross are across from each other, the
G and F.
T and the F. This is the sedge on the Egyptian walls.
What's the
This is the
sedge?
sedge upside down in the underworld. So I can talk for an hour just on this. But here's what's really important. The J across from the X, because the X is what? We're in manifest. We're on the cross, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's across from the X? The J, the phallus. You see the phallus? It's in Scorpio. This is Scorpio. See, Scorpio. Of course, the phallus should be in Scorpio. And
10:55.
it's across from expansion. When a baby's born, he's in manifest again, which is Taurus. So the alpha beta we're using to create words, which are babble based on true symbology. Get it? So here, I'm just going to play this quick video, all right? If you don't mind.
Mm-mm.
It's really quick. Have you heard the golden ratio sequence of numbers, aka Fibonacci golden ratio spiral? Can you hear the music? Ratio of perfection and beauty. People like you who seek wisdom will see that only keeping the last digit of each summation of the last two numbers and wrapping them around a circle will repeat every 60 numbers. This sequence is unique in that it captures the essence of the golden ratio, while also exhibiting a repeating pattern. But not only this, you shall witness that it manifests across by the four zeros. And then, yes, a unique pattern on the cross outlining a swastika. Rising in the east, we have the alphas of ones surrounding the zero as 1011. Then setting in the west, we have the omega 9099. At the top of the chart, we have the 7077, the seven colors of the rainbow, the white light of the day. Last but not least, we have the 3033, which represents the three golden ratio triangles, which make up the star of the night. You will notice that the only true zodiac of 12 equal houses becomes apparent as it aligns with the cross and every fifth number, which also aligns with the circle of the fifths in music. This is how every atom of the micro to the macro of the Earth's universe becomes or manifests.
You are infinite.
Right. So we just have to understand what we're using and what we're doing. The G is the seventh letter, seven colors of the rainbow, right? There's so much beauty in music. This is helping me, and I'm starting to come to understanding, because everybody's trying to say what vibration should we should use 369, 963, and start listening to all that music. Well, it's going to depend on your chart. When you have a certain injury, when you're in jury, when you're having a karmic cleanse, there's going to be a vibration that you need to listen to based on your chart. And we're trying to figure that out. So this is law. When we want to talk about law, this is law. This is law of the land. This is law of the stars. So when we understand that we're infinite and that we tie in with everything that's here, then we're seeking wisdom. We're gaining the wisdom so we become connected with source because you're understanding it. Every child should learn how to count to 60. Only going up to the most number they're ever going to use is 9 plus 9. That's it. We should never teach kids any other math besides that. We don't need accounting. Accounting is for stealing. Accounting is for sins, sine waves, karmic waves. This is what we need to teach the kids again.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see that your X is here.
Which one?
Right? Your Y is there, your Z is there, right?
Just kidding. I've got a few of them.
Right.
Wow. I've never put the letters of the alphabet around.
Right. The M and the O are in the middle. Okay.
The M and the goat. What? Okay,
They're
tell us
the
about that.
13th. They're the
Huh?
13th number. They're bad luck, right? No, they're not. That's where you get the Mona Lisa, Mnoa.
Right.
The Romans have Mona in it with an R. The Monads have Mona with a D. The Masons have Mona with an S.
And they have a monarch.
Right. Mona Lisa, men have named you. Right. So it's from the alpha to the omega. And as you can see, again, the L gets cleaved through this process and then becomes the O again.
The L has to die?
No, no, no. Well, it's just part of the cleaving process. It's part of our leaving the body and coming back again. They're both the L and the Z are both the 12th iteration, the 144. Everything is 12s. There's 12 semitones in an octave in music. So it's all beautiful.
12 semitones?
Right. So if you play the chromatic scale on a piano, you get the 12 semitones. Let's see. Do I have a
My
keyboard on
dad's
here?
trying to teach me guitar.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. He's doing well and he loves playing the guitar, and I'm kind
Cool.
of more so just doing it so I have more relatable skills than what I currently do.
That is awesome that you're doing that.
Well, I'm trying.
Right. So that's that. Just thought I'd share that.
Wow.
It's
Can you go
not
back for a moment to that one that highlights each of the zodiac signs and then say what they are in relation to the letters that are above them or around them?
well, you can see here that Libra, which we know is weighing of the heart, which is the weighing of the heart ceremony. Libra's not balance. Libra's weighing of the heart. That's why there's scales there, right?
What is
And that's
the
part.
triangle is divided into two sections? Why?
These ones here, you mean?
Yeah.
So I carry these, but I never use them. Maybe I'll need them someday, but they don't. Consensus talks about the cardinal cross and then the air qualities, right?
What is
I
the
leave them
cardinal
on there, but
cross?
I don't use them.
What is the cardinal cross?
The cardinal cross is the four that form the cardinal cross: Aries, Libra, uh, Capricorn, and Cancer. It's the first one moving this way. So you can see the cross. Hang on, let me see if I can. Do I have anything here that has a cross on it?
Have you ever thought about Aries, Libra, Capricorn, and Cancer as the way the cross got turned on its side to be an X?
Um, no, but I can tell you that when the cross gets turned, oh, not that one. Hang on. Let's see if I can. Do I have a cross here somewhere? Here we go. When the cross is here, because don't forget the phallus is here, Scorpio is all the sexual organs, reproductive organs, its temptations, its sexuality, right? Materialism. When it's across from Taurus and then Aquarius in the heart, this is the circle with the X in it. And that is the symbol in astrology called the part of fortune.
The part of
That part of
fortune?
Yes, the part of fortune is the circle with a cross. You'll see that on the Egyptian walls in birthing scenes, because this is at play when you do adoptions and birthing, in vitro fertilization. This is going to be at play. Immaculate conceptions is that circle with a cross. So this is the cross that's on its side.
So it makes me think about when I was issued my second summons, and there was an extra piece of paper that was attached in my paperwork that would have been easy to overlook, except for I'd served a summer as a an assistant probation and parole officer. And I'd seen that form in criminals package. So then why was it attached to mine? So
Well,
I then said, I don't understand, and what's the significance of this page? What I didn't know was that it was a picture of a man, and I couldn't tell which direction he was moving in, but he had some stick with him. And so I didn't know what it was. Nobody answered me and nobody helped me understand it. But it stuck with me that it was significant because it's this man in a box, like you're talking about the X in the box, or you're talking about the X in the circle. And I'm
right.
talking about the man in a box. But then I figured out that, hey, wait a minute, is this the symbol of a blind man? So then I looked it up, but I had a color bias, ironically, because when I looked it up, even though the picture was on yellow, I had it in my mind it was a little white man in a box because the original's always on white. So I'd asked ChatGPT, what is the significance of a white man in a box? And it came back with the white cane stick that blind or that visually impaired people use. And so I thought that was interesting. And then I saw my own
Hmm.
color bias. And then I thought, well, wait a minute. What is a yellow stick? If a white stick is for the blind, what is the yellow stick? And I found out about the red-tipped yellow stick. Do you know about that one?
Hmm.
It's actually for deaf and blind people,
Wow.
which is why Rudolph.
So awesome. Hmm.
Yeah, so anyone that has ever received a summons and didn't know what that blank page with the little man in a box is, it's the entrapment of us through implication that we are deaf and blind and didn't see the little man in a box we were implied to be.
Yeah, it's pretty they speak in code, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Which goes back to this X in a circle. That
Hmm.
goes back to the XYZ. Y follows X because that's where you avoid the hex of only getting vexed into the usury position. So you yourself are using others, you're not being used by them, you think, except for in Hiero's prison, everyone's being used
Hmm. Interesting.
because Z is where we land. And they all created us. That's the top part that includes all of us. No one's excluded. This notion of who is them you asked earlier, well, them is in the creation of halfway down the Z, where we then enter into the first, second, third person offices in the public, which is the public thing, the res publica. This is where the republic comes from, which is to enter the public again and again through the first person office of man, which is the proper or properia persona position. So when we're the proper authority, then we're actually able to direct. We're called the appropriate authority when we are in the first person office of man, except for the Vatican claimed that until we make a counterclaim, a superior claim with real standing as men and women who are real and are able to back up our claim with not only our name, but also our presence. That's when we don't get dragged into the second person position of the usury agent. The Y keeps us in as asking the questions for the crown, courts, or council. That's why the Y keeps us in the crew side, whereas the Z moves us then into the debtor, third party. This is the legal person, the statutory person, the executor, and the exchequer. So this is the exchequer that says, okay, I've agreed to be the Z, which is the captive of the ship, rather than crew or one who didn't ever enter into a public contract at all. My choice.
Interesting. That's really I love the way you put that. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you. Well, this goes back then to the banks and the tellers, because on one side you've got the de jure side where you've got no interest, you've got shared labor hours. This is where we exist in the us side of the banks. That is not where our treasure has been getting held. It's been getting held in the de facto side, which is why we have de factories that have made us industries. Because it's all about the dust, because the book says that it's about the clay that we were formed from. But the book itself is designed to uphold the banks of our collective consciousness that has been corrupted, because when interest was charged, that is theft. And theft is equatable to the thieves. A thief being connected to the serfs. That's plots of land where the fiefs and serfs were actually defined by their place in this world, by where they worked. Just like we now define ourselves by asking one another, what do you do, as the first question and way to identify who someone is by what they do. We're still doing it culturally without knowing what we're doing or paying it any mind, because the prophets have superseded the prophets with a PH, which is why the PhD that we are here to experience is actually one of dimensions.
Yeah, more like dementia.
Well, you talk about spiritual amnesia.
Yeah.
This is where we forgot that there are two banks on the side of the channel, because one has been claimed by one name and the other claimed by another name, since it was a natural division point.
Right. I think this is a good time to just bring this up for a quick second here. Um,
This is awesome.
yeah, just so people see, where did I put that? I'm sorry, just give me a moment. So the different players, right? The social insurance number has Claudio Silvaggi.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one that's tied to the de jure bank. This is the one that's sinning. It's in social insurance number. It's a sin, right? I mean, that
Mm-hmm.
goes social security number and all those other things to it. So, but it's just interesting. And then everything else. So they take out, this is tied to the main bond of your I know you know this, but just holding it up anyway. The registration of live birth, which is the main bond that they
Mm-hmm.
hold. They're giving us a copy, a certified copy, which then becomes that you can use for a letter's patent to go after the non-usury de jure side. So people are going to get tested. Sodom Gomorrah's here. People are going to get access to these funds. The prodigal son is going to get his inheritance now, because everybody's going to want their money now. But what are you going to do with it? Be very careful. Only use that money that you're about to get, because it's going to happen all across the whole world, to help others. It's the weighing of the heart. So as you can see that every other system or organization has made lines of credit against your bond. And then that person's name is now Silvaggi Claudio, Silvaggi Claudio, Silvaggi Claudio. As you can see, my birth certificate, my registration of live birth, the health card, the driver's license, and the passport are all Silvaggi, Claudio. This because the name Silvaggi, that last name means dead. So that's why this is the dead man's account.
Mm-hmm.
And they're using that in usury by creating, every time you go get anything, you're creating a letter of credit against your insurance policy, for a lack of a better term, to make people understand. And when you're giving a presentment, you can either pay for it or take it out of your life insurance policy. But we're in a tacit agreement to say, don't touch my life insurance policy. I'm not a good person. I'd rather pay and leave my life insurance policy for inheritance for my kids, which you never get. But we can't get it because the they is delivering our karma unbeknownst to them, because we're not spiritually awake yet. Our hearts are not as light as a feather. You won't get it. And get it The money is just a symbol for our ability to manifest. We're manifesting within a day. You can imagine something, click a button on Amazon, it's delivered to your front door. Our wings are being shown that they are able to be used. If you're using them for materialistic reasons, things won't go good for you. All of a sudden, IRS shows up or something that's totally illegal. They're going to show up and take your money back. So the spiritual world is mimicked in this placebo material world. So we must love. Again, one of the tests that is very important is the test of all beings. What are we doing to our soul guides? Mm-hmm. So I asked for a sign. Should I be plant-based? Vegan, sort of. I call it plant-based because vegans got a voodoo for it. Should I be plant-based? And oh, I got my signs. All right. All right. It's a long story, but it's short. But those non-loving acts of eating our soul guides is part of the weighing of the heart. And my recommendation to everybody is to start eating plants only.
Eating our soul guides?
There are soul guides. Anima means soul. Animal. Animals are our soul guides. Insects are our soul guides. They give me signs like crazy. I was feeling a little bit on the, oh man, is this ever going to end? Right in the middle of night, there was just enough light casting through our front window, and a big black ant came out into the light, looked at me, and left. I go look up ant and said, and then the ant in the message in the box there, it said, just hang in there. It's all going to work out. So next time you see an ant, you might want to high five them. I've had ants come up to me and do this, pick me up, pick me up. I put my finger down and he crawls on. The ducks, the turkeys, all of them, they all are our soul guides, as written on the Egyptian walls. We're eating our soul guides.
Terrible.
I have to say it because I know it. It's up to you when you want to do it, if you want to do it, but it's a non-loving act that leaves your waters with non-loving waves in them because the act, I don't care what you say you're doing to it, your blessing or whatever, that animal didn't want to go. He's not here for you. We're not dominion over the animals. No, they are us. Whether they are in karmic debt or whether they are our soul guides, it doesn't matter. We're all one, and it's part of the weighing of the heart. And that's not an easy one for people to get over. But I've been vegan or plant-based now for 5 years, and I'm making food that knocks anybody's socks off.
Good for you.
Right. So I thought I'd throw that in there. So yeah, we're 100% in exactly the way we are spiritually. And now we're being reeled in. And we'll have access to a ton of abundance. It's already happening. Whatever you imagine will happen, but do it carefully. Because we're also upon instant karma, instant good karma, but also instant slap your hand.
Yeah. Instant karma.
Right. So,
Increased speed.
and that's what natural law is all about.
Yeah. Wow. Increased speed of deliverance. Instant karma.
Because we're on that energetic cusp.
Yeah.
On the circle of fifths. It's harmonic. It's going to crystallize our waters and it's going to remove the muddy waters. Mm-hmm. The more we put them in, the more they're going to come out.
This is exceptional. Truly exceptional, Claudio.
We used to all know it.
Well, we're coming to re-know it.
Right.
What is it? What is a seg?
What's that?
What is a seg?
What is this?
Seg. You had mentioned a seg. It was a symbol. It was a symbol. I think the J, was it?
Oh, the phallus.
Yes.
That's the genitals, the man's genitals.
The seg.
The J. I don't think I mentioned seg.
I thought you had said there was a seg, and SEG was what I thought it would have been spelt like, maybe.
Hmm.
It sounded like it was one of the things that he held to, like,
That's the Urim and Thummim, or the crook and the flail. The
crook and the flail.
seg. Hmm.
The
Oh,
crook
I
and
want
the
to show you one last
flail.
thing, just for a little bit of humor. Where does the Wizard of Oz come from?
Where?
Okay. Can you see the O and the Z?
Yeah.
The Wizard of Oz is underneath when she went into Dream World, right?
Oh,
Oz,
no way.
the Wizard of Oz, right? From O to Z,
That's amazing.
A to L, O to Z,
Wow.
right?
That's amazing.
The world above, daytime in Zodiac, nighttime, manifest, unmanifest. This is where time flies, right? When you
Right.
go to sleep, time flies. When we reincarnate, it'll be like minutes, seconds, and we'll be popping out another womb.
Wow. Claudio, that was exceptional. Thank you for sharing all of that. And we didn't really go into the topic that we had scheduled it
I
as.
know, because we can go so many. Sorry.
No, you don't need to apologize at all. It happened perfectly. And I actually quite like that it's under an hour because then it'll upload to Odyssey as well as YouTube. So I'm going to upload it to Rumble as well. I'm going to start using my Rumble channel there as well, Peaceful Inner Warriors United. So I'm going to get this posted on the Peaceful Inner Warriors United Telegram group, and we'll do the Rumble and YouTube and Odyssey as well. So we'll see what traction we can get there. Elle, it was awesome to have you on. Your volume did come on at one point, so if you unmuted yourself, if you had anything you wanted to say before we go, you'd be more than welcome to. It was a pleasure to have you here as always.
Hi, El.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hi there. I'm actually just at the farm doing some planting, so I heard most of it, but you're in my pocket for a lot of it. So
Oh,
I,
fabulous.
I, I was double booked today. Didn't realize till I got the reminder that you were on.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah, but
Well,
thank you for that information. I'm going to watch the replay.
yeah. Oh,
Awesome.
fabulous.
What are you planting?
Garlic,
Ooh, nice.
onions. Sorry. Yeah, we were
Onions.
just
Oh,
harvesting a bit of garlic. So yeah,
oh, cool. Way
Garlic
to
and
go.
onions. Well, that
yeah,
is
I'm
a
at.
great way to keep the vampires away.
Yeah, this is amazing. Okay, well, I'll
Awesome.
let you guys go because I'm going to put this down now.
Okay, fabulous. Thanks, Elle.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one.
Okay,
Take
thank
care.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, fantastic. So, Claudio, I'm going to get this edited and uploaded. I would like to say that the court card characters, I did look them up and I posted it to the Telegram group. So I'm just going to zip over there because I
Yep.
put it all easy access for us to be able to see. And this is also where everyone that tunes in here is invited to also join us there. Claudio is a member, so is Elle, and lots of amazing, exceptional people are here as well. What we were going to talk about today were the court card characters in the tarot and how they connected to the courts, which we were going to have a friend join us who was very passionate as a veteran with what is happening in the courts and the lack of the flag's presence, which is a hill that he is ready to die on, it seems. And so I wanted to break down the symbols and all of the signs that are connected to the sine waves that we end up getting hit with when we go into these places that are captured already by corrupted thieves. And it may be legal for these thieves to be where they are, but that doesn't mean it's lawful for them to be doing what they are. And so the court card characters within the tarot, which we've covered the major arcana cards already and what the character processions are, but we'll be doing that again on April 1st. So you can join us for a Not Fool's Day, going through the journey of the Fool, though, that day, which will be quite exciting with the wordplay too. And here now we have in front of us the 4 different court card characters of the tarot, which are significant because you have 2 young boys, essentially, the young masculine as the messengers. So the pages in each of their suits represent enthusiasm, exploration, creativity and intuition, curiosity and intellect, practicality and learning. So the page is kind of like the page that we write all of these orders and requests onto. It's full of opportunity and enthusiasm with boundless creativity, but not as much faith in ourselves to actually wield our pen as wisely as we would if we had been around longer and knew what was good in the hood. So the Knights of Wands are about adventure and impulsiveness. The Knight of Cups is about romance and idealism. The Knight of Swords is about ambition and determination. The Knight of Pentacles, responsibility and diligence. Pentacles is the suit of the earth. That is about being grounded. The sword is the metal of the air. And the cups is the air of waters, actually. When the wands are that wooden stick that is how we can actually create the infinity through our will and wishes. So the knights with a K is where we have been knighted by the one that gave us the title or position to change our identity because the king said that now we were knights instead of what we were before we got the title. So the knights I have brought into the sacred sojourn of the soul as the dark night of the ego before the dark light of the soul, which is really where the king and queen within our own personality and persona actually battle it out inside of us, because the victim triangle has a victim, rescuer, and punisher or persecutor. And we're always bouncing around on this drama triangle. But when we actually start to see that it is the fight of masculinity and femininity within our own heart, that's when we start to see how the queen and king are unique to each suit, but it is when then they step into the emperor and empress positions within the major arcana that now they have access to all of the suits and all of the potentials of the archetype prior to the advancement to a higher title so that it encompasses what came before it too. So the Queen of Wands is about confidence and independence. She has her wand, which is her will and wishes, and she can point that wand and then get someone else to do the dishes. The Queen of Cups is about compassion and emotional intelligence. This is a queen that is very motherly and nurturing. The Queen of Swords is about clarity and communication. She can cut through the BS and get down to what's a belief system founded in truth versus what belief system was founded by whom and who paid them to plant that seed. The Queen of Pentacles is about nurturing and practicality. She can afford to because she's the queen of money. So these queens are all working within our inner system in their securest expression, but there is also the insecure expression of these good traits or qualities. You also then have the irresponsible equivalent to be able to be mindful of as well. And the King of Wands, is about leadership and vision. He sets his wands vision and leadership. The King of Cups is about emotional balance and compassion, observing his kingdom with little emotionality because he is strong and stoic and a barrier up between him and the public, who he only lets get so far because boundaries are something the King of Cups knows all about, and he'll use his sword of authority and logic to keep you at bay if you try to get too close and stay for longer than what he wants. And then the King of Pentacles is about financial security and practical wisdom because he can afford to. Now, all of these interpretations, I wanted to touch on then the theater of oppressed, or the theater of the oppressed. But before we go there, Claudio, is there anything you wanted to share?
No, it's beautiful. I love it. The only thing is that I got to try to find it again. It was not really easy to find, but the playing cards, the queen was a 13th card, and then the king, because the queen trumps the king, and the jack, the J, is us and manifest. The king and the queen are Pluto and Eris, Osiris and Isis, and the jack, the J, is the phallus, right? The one that goes around reproducing, keeping us on the wheel.
Mm.
Right. So just think about that, because you got it here as a knight. I don't know how it became from the why the J and the knights, why they're different, but at the same thing. Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's all Babel, and including the alpha beta is just our ability to try to once again put images on top of vibrations. But this is beautiful.
Wow, yeah. Okay. The theater of the oppressed is actually something I met a really insightful woman about, but then she misinterpreted my use of the term usury Jew or usury agent or court Jew, and thought that I was being defamatory towards her people, which was not the case at all. But she couldn't see that a usury agent or a court Jew is not the same as the propaganda that she has been told about court Jews being how her people have been being persecuted. So I was going to interview her about this theater of the oppressed because I could see how literally we have been experiencing forum theater, image theater, invisible theater, legislative theater, and cop in the head practices from a cultural perspective since this whole pandemic began, which was always designed to be an endemic, which means that the prefix was changed to have the end in mind the whole time. But forum theater is a scene depicting an oppressive situation is enacted. So spectators are invited to intervene either by stepping into the scene themselves as spectators or by suggesting changes or solutions to the actors. This encourages active participation and dialogue, empowering individuals to explore different ways of addressing oppression. The focus here is on oppression, which means the only impression we can make is on the problem. We need to be able to shift out of a forum theater based on oppression in Hiero's Prism to actually being back in the top of our glass, which is where we don't drop our ass into the Hiero's Prism at all. And then we reset the time so that now we see that the marker of we is us and the time that we have in the top before it falls into Hiero's Prism. It's time for us to see that the sand that is falling in the color of yellow, which is the third chakra of the solar plexus, which is about willpower, freedom, self-esteem. It is about feeling safe to express. and to actually let the energy rise into the heart, which is where we always balance our karma as well as the choices that we make. And natural law was mentioned, which is what we must step into dissecting at a deeper level as well, because natural law and common law are being pit against one another because natural law is being implied to be more powerful. But what people are not accounting for is the fact that you need something outside of this glass in order to use the argument of natural law compared to what is natural. For those two are implied to be the same, but are not. And that is what people are not paying attention to the details of, but I am. And that's what I want to share by saying that the common ground that we all have found to be able to be true, to walk on to our own safety, is actually stepping out of this prism structure altogether, where we start to see the value of the team that we have, that we are playing with. Time, energy, effort, attention, and money. That is common to us all. How much we have is unique. And those are the elements or details of the greater pattern that we share. And so then it comes down to how we wear the clothes that we have. And that is where the vêtements of Dr. and Mrs. Vandertramp come in, which is a memory tool to break down the verbs that change based on whether they are using être verbs or verbiage, which is to be, or avoir, which is to have.
Beautiful.
So we're going to get into that, and we're going to do it, in fact, by telling the story of London Bridge, using the sound of it with the French words for sur, sous, dans, devant, derrière, devant, derrière, devant, derrière, sur, sous, dans, devant, derrière, à côté de. So sur is on, sous is under, dans is in, avant is before, derrière is after, sur, sous, dans, devant, derrière, à côté de means beside it. So it's on, under, in, before, after, beside, beside. That's what that song means. So in relation to Dr. and Mrs. Vandertramp, that's where we start to see the danger of titles. And that's where we start to see that Dr. and Mrs. are titles that mean you're in Vandertramp's house. Because Vandertramp was the legal name, which is the sure name, which is the Roman name, which ties us back to Babylon because that's the Roman stem. So then we're just off divine of Rome compared to seeing the divine is actually in us. For we are the line, not holding it, we are it.
That's right. Exactly.
So image theater involves the creation of still images or tableaus, which are tables, to represent specific situations or concepts related to oppression. Participants work together to create these images, which can then be analyzed and discussed to better understand the dynamics of power and oppression. The invisible theater involves the performance of scripted or improvised scenes in public spaces without the audience's awareness that it is a theatrical performance. The goal is to provoke reactions and spark conversations about social issues, challenging people's perceptions and encouraging them to confront injustice. Legislative theater is what Event 201 was on April 18th, 2019, which was when they did predictive programming for what would happen if there were to be a pandemic. It was in New York City. So legislative theater combines theatrical performance with political action. It involves the creation of plays or scenes based on real-life issues faced by communities. After watching the performance, audience members are invited to propose and debate potential solutions, which can then be taken to policymakers to advocate for change. And then the cop in the head is the equivalent to what Don Miguel Ruiz talks about as domestication and then auto-domestication. So this concept refers to the internalized oppression that individuals experience as a result of societal norms and power structures. Through theater, participants can identify and challenge these internalized barriers, empowering themselves to resist oppression. Woo! My cat just jumped in the window. Through theater, participants can
Nice.
identify and challenge these internalized barriers, empowering themselves to resist oppression and assert their agency. Sorry, what did you say, Claudio?
No, would you say the cat did what?
The cat jumped in the window. So the window is open, so that's his door when I have it
Right.
open.
Right. And he's coming in at this exact time for a reason at 1119.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
funny.
Beautiful.
Yeah, yeah, he's a special cat for certain.
Mhm.
And this was a special call, to be fair.
Absolutely. And those theaters sound a lot like Plato's Cave.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Can you say more?
Have you seen Plato's Cave?
I referenced it in the first chapter of my book.
Yeah, I know. I seen that. I did. So you know Plato's Cave, right? Well, when you
Yeah,
said say more, I already knew you knew. You would. I mean, Plato's Cave is pretty simple, right? It's just us watching the show that we've left behind based on our actions of now. It's very simply put, right?
right,
So we're here in bondage, watching everything around us happen to us based on what we've done as actions in the past, because we're
right.
the creators of it all.
Oh
So
wow.
the fire is the sun. They show a sun outside the hole, but that's not the sun. That's the unseen light. That's the unmanifest light. Then the fire is from you. You create the fire with your actions. It's resistance for coming in and out of resistance all the time. But the key is to stay as close to heart center while we're here on this beautiful, beautiful one dimension earth,
Hmm.
out and in.
Wow. Well, this was an amazing call. Thank you
Yeah, it
for
was
today,
awesome. I look
Claudio.
forward to, sorry for digressing, but I look forward to deep diving more.
Yeah, me as well. And we'll get Solgove is what he goes by online. So we'll get Solgove Petch on with us next time to go deeper into the court and the characters and the flag placements. And we can then talk about legal piratism, identity piratism, and talk about the changing of names on boxes that create the same result just with a different banner.
That's awesome. Love the way you articulate.
Thank you. You as well. I am feeling truly blessed and honored that you share this time with us, Claudio. Thank you for all that you shared and contributed today and
Thank
held
you.
space for me to be able to bring forward as well. And I look forward to our next opportunity to connect for one of these kind of sessions. We do have on March 20th at 7 o'clock. That's going to actually be a 30-minute pre-Hub for Humankind call. And I'm going to be announcing the documentary and podcast and Album 24 project that are all getting launched in April, along with a program where we can actually go through what it means to be fully committed to the soulful path that each of us are uniquely walking. So look
Look
forward
forward to it.
to having each of you and Claudio too on that call on May 20th when we do the seemingly impossible and unify ourselves and the worlds that each of us uniquely create through the lives that we lead.
Beautiful.
Peace out.
Ciao.